I've been working on something really fun the last week or two, and it is using some products from a company called Catherine Pooler. And I'm using stamps, inks, stencils, and then a new bullet journal. So let's talk a little bit about what I've done, and I'm going to show you some of the tools I used along with some of the tips that I have. So if you've been following me for a while, you know how much I love my traveler's notebooks and my bullet journals. If you're not familiar with those terms, traveler's notebook or bullet journaling, basically what we're doing here with a bullet journal is writing things down. And I know that sounds kind of basic, but really that's what it is. So I use my bullet journals and my traveler's notebooks for doing what you see here, kind of a month at a glance. So I will write things down like that. I'll use them for my to-do list, for my weekly views, and so forth. So one of the things, if you're not familiar with bullet journals, I suggest that you Google bullet journal and you'll find loads and loads of information. Now, before we really dig in, one of the things I have to do is I talk with my hands. My hands, you guys, I finished up the project today, and I've been using black and green ink. And, black and teal ink. Anyhow, you see that all over my hands. So just know that when you have fun and get messy, that is one of the results. Okay, so let's talk about what I have used. I am using this very cool product called a Canvo Bullet Journal. This is about, well, let's see, let me grab my ruler. The size is about 7 inches by 6, let's say 7, 8, maybe 8.5 or 9. And I will, I'll double check on that for you and put it in the description on the video. Anyhow, so this Canvo Bullet Journal, what makes it really unique to me is the pages. The page thickness, you guys, these are super, super thick. And what's nice about that is you're stamping and writing, maybe doing a little bit of mixed media, you don't have any bleed through or any ghosting or shadowing. So you can kind of see that here. You don't see any ghosting or shadowing, yet I've used lots of black ink and things there. So the other thing I love, white. I'm very much a big fan of white when it comes to my traveler's notebooks and bullet journals. The pages are numbered, and that is something that you can make use of if you are following kind of that whole bullet journal process where you're doing an index and then adding your page numbers, but absolutely not necessary. And then obviously the dot grid. And the dot grid is awesome because you can use the little dots and the squares, or actually use the dots to make squares to, you know, highlight your to-dos and check them off when you're done. The other nice thing is those squares make it really easy, the dots or the grids, make it really easy to make sure when you're writing things are lined up correctly. All right, so let's take a look at what I did. I have put together 2 different spreads. So the first spread is let me get that right back in there. This is a kind of a month in review spread for me. And I put this together at the beginning of the month. And the idea there is you just kind of have a highlight of some major things that month. So I used these are the Bullet Journal Basics stamp set from Catherine Pooler Designs. And as you can see, I've used quite a few of these. But for this particular spread, I used the notes, events, to-dos, birthdays, and goals. And then I also used this little guy. And these are a little bit hard to see because obviously I've used it, but I'll show you what I did with all of those. So I set out using the Fiesta Blue ink from Catherine Pooler Designs, that fun little ink pad there. And I stamped goals, events, birthdays, to-do, and notes. So I kind of decided that was what I wanted to add here, and the different sections and sizing. So I then used a ruler to outline each of those little sections so I would have boxes. Now, under events, let me move this over so you can see it. Under events, make sure you can see that, because I'm looking upside down and backwards. I think you can. Okay, under events, those little group of hearts right there, that comes from that same design that we were just looking at, the Bullet Journal Basic Stamp Set. And so that is one continuous stamp. So that when I stamp that, I have all of those cute little hearts right there. And those are serving as little bullets for me. So I used that stamp set primarily for this spread. But then I also used, and this one, you can see that I used the heck out of this one. I also used the Oh My, It's July stamp set. So Catherine Pooler Designs has a different stamp set for each month of the year. And this one that you can or can't see, because I have used it a lot, is the Oh My, It's July. So just that really fun combination script and block print. I also used the stars. So the stars were very similar to the hearts. So I did a double row of stars there. And the way that I decided to use those stars is that once I had completed things on my to-do list, I have colored in the stars. So that's a super versatile, whether from that July set or from the Bullet Journal Basic set. Those are great for using for your lists, your to-dos, and then you can either check them when you're done or, like I did, colored in little stars. Okay, so let's look at, one more thing I want to show you from this Oh My, It's July stamp set. I wanted to bring in some color, so I used some stickers, and then I used this really fun little kind of trail for the little flying path, the flight path, I guess, for the butterflies. So that is what we have for my month at a glance spread. Then we move into a weekly spread. So this weekly spread, I actually did this for next week, the following week. And I loved the stamp set. I thought it was so fun and clever. And it is the Put a Pin in It stamp set. And I will link all of these in the description for the video so you'll know exactly where to find things. But I used that great kind of little clipboard. I loved that. And as I was looking at the clipboard, I started thinking, you know what? Those are kind of the right size where I could create a little clipboard for each day of the week. So that's what I did. I used the Midnight Black stamping ink, and I stamped a little clipboard for each day of the week. Now, I needed to label the days of the week, so I went back to this little stamp set. This is a super versatile one. I really see myself using this one a lot. That one, again, is the Bullet Journal Basics, and I used the days of the week. And I just stamped the days of the week to the left of each of those little clipboards. And then I just started writing whatever I needed to do for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now, I am actually headed out of town this coming Wednesday next week. And so these days right now, Thursday through Sunday, I have left blank, other than one main thing I need to do each of those days is go to a rowing race. But then I will continue to fill those in. So not only does this serve as my kind of to-do list for the week as I'm going through the week, but then after I get back from that trip, I will fill that in. And then it's also kind of serves as a great little kind of memory keeper for me. All right, I used just a little pen to color in a couple of those little circles to add a little bit of extra color. Then let's talk about this little kind of grouping in the lower right-hand corner. I used that little July stamp, and that is from the Oh My, It's July stamp set. So there's a little block print for July, and I used the teal ink there, or sorry, the Fiesta Blue. And then I incorporated a few stars. Now here's the thing. July, I think most people think, oh, that's 4th of July, especially if you're in the U.S. If you're not in the U.S., then you wouldn't think that. But the things for July need to be red, white, and blue, and they absolutely do not need to be. But I wanted to, add a few stars for July, so I did that there. And I also did that there. So we kind of still get a little bit of that flair in there. Then I used, and oh my gosh, I think this is one of the most fun tools that I used on this project. So this is the calendar and boxes stencil. So lots of different sized boxes, a few banners, some speech bubbles, a few shapes. So I used that banner after I had stamped July. And then, you guys, I love this one. That is just that little grid for a calendar. So I set that down. And before I actually started doing any of my outlining, I used washi. So basically what I did, and this was super simple, And it works really well with washi because washi is, you know, removable. So I just took a few strips and I went like this to make sure it stayed. Actually, well, you guys get the gist. It moved, but that is exactly why you might want to use the washi, so things don't move as you are trying your hardest to keep things straight with that stencil. So I would just continue to add a few more pieces of washi there, just to make sure that that little bugger, that awesome little stencil set, was not going to move around on me as I was working. So I then took my black pen and outlined those little boxes, and there you have it. So I added Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the top of that little calendar, and then I used a super fine black pen to write the days in. Now, I didn't feel like I needed to say that this was Monday, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and so on. What I decided to do instead with my little calendar is I just highlighted the week. And what I found as I've done lots of different types of weekly spreads is it's really nice to have that full calendar there, because as I'm looking and planning, and maybe for Sunday I need to plan on something for next week, it is nice to have that full calendar there for me. So, oh, this was really cute too. I wanted to show you. This little guy also came from the Put a Pin in It stamp set, and that's the little pin. So I can use a stencil. So I used the larger stencil right there, and I wanted it to bleed into my sticker, so I used the larger stencil, and then added that little pin stamp, so it looked as if I was pinning that little piece to my calendar. All right, one more thing that I want to show you, and this is how I work my workflow as I'm putting something like this together. So, and this is before I ever start stamping or writing, and that is, I start laying out my ideas first. So I thought it would be fun to show you these pages, and this is just regular copy paper. I drew a sketch, and I thought, okay, this is going to be my monthly spread, and goals, events, B-days, and I kind of put all that in there. Then, as I am kind of testing my stamping to get a feel for what it would look like, goals goes there, events there, so it just kind of gave me an idea. Also, when I was testing out the little stars, I tested that right there. Now, you can also see I use paper like this for lots and lots and lots of different stamping. So I know some of us sometimes are really afraid to stamp in something like this because we're afraid we're going to mess up. So having scratch paper with you like this is super important. There you see the little calendar, the highlight, because I wanted to make sure that the color would match the color scheme that I had going on. Then this was my weekly spread idea. So my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, originally I had an idea to put some notes there, and then later I'm like, ooh, I really like that calendar. So even though the calendar actually, that whole kind of little area turned out very differently, make sure you can see that over here. Again, looking upside down and backwards, you guys. You can see that it turned out very differently, but that was kind of my general idea, and it pretty much worked that way. So doing something like this on scratch paper really gives you the opportunity to make sure it's going to work for what you would like. Now, let's talk about lots and lots of stamping, lots and lots of testing. So that's my kind of semi-foolproof way of making sure that I have the right pressure, because you can see in some cases I get really fat towards the end of that word. So this is where I kind of work out the pressure points and so forth. So lots of different ideas there. All right, you guys, so that is kind of the recap of what I've done with this wonderful product this month. And this was in conjunction with Catherine Pooler Designs and scrapbook.com. So I am going to, as I mentioned, list the products used with links to those products. So if you are interested in any of the products, you know exactly where to purchase them. Now, these will be affiliate links, meaning if you make any purchase using these links, then I get a small portion of that. It does not affect your price at all in what you pay. It just helps to compensate me for my time as I am working with different products and things like this. All right, friends, that is all for today, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.